Alright guys, it's warmed up a little bit from yesterday. Yesterday was -10 and right now it's right around freezing. We're gonna get this thing out of the driveway and see if we can't inspect our hydraulic pump. I've got a working PTO shaft, but I do not have much lift here. It does lift, just very, very weak. So we're gonna get it out of the driveway so we've got a little more room to work, and we're gonna pop the inspection cover off, see what we find. So by the time I was done backing this thing on the driveway, you see it's actually pretty fairly level, but that is as high as it got. So it picks it up off the ground just enough, but it cannot pick weight up off the tail wheel. So this side's pretty level too. What we're gonna do, pop the inspection cover off and see what's going on in there. This whole thing. See. All right, every single one of these bolts has some silicone on it. That's not too promising for me. Yeah, so what they did was they smeared silicone around this whole surface instead of putting a gasket on. I assume it would have had a gasket. So I'm gonna have to clean up this cover, make up a gasket for it. Alright, this is with the lever up. See a little bit of oil up top. Lever down, up. So I can hear it like chattering in there. The lever up. Listen when it goes down. Back up. So we're gonna have to drop the pump and take the top lid off, see what's going on. All right, this is my mix, 50-50 kerosene and ATF. You already got the ATF laying around. I use kerosene instead of acetone because the acetone ends up evaporating most of the time. So every time you go to use this stuff, all the acetone's gone and it's just ATF. This is super cheap to make, so you really can't go wrong. Let that sit for a few minutes. All right, I'm gonna take this top cover off. I drained some of the oil out of here. just so I could get the yoke off of the valve. The 8 end doesn't have this problem, but the 9 ends, 2 ends do. So I got the yoke off on this side. I can't tell if I got it off on that side or not. So I'm gonna take the top cover off and try to pull up and I'll know. So we'll just pop it out. This is already gonna be a pain in itself. Gonna have to pound out each one of these bolts. All right, so in this clip here, I took the wheel off because I couldn't get in to see the hydraulic pump, and you can see this black puddle towards the front there. That was developing while I was running the tractor trying to get the pump to go. That's the adapter there that goes in the back of the oil pressure gauge that had split and allowed all of the oil from the engine to come out. And it was at a rate where there was no way to keep running the tractor, so I had to give up on it for the day and order some parts in. All right, well, this is draining out. We're gonna pull the top cover back off. I have to clean the gasket surface the whole way around, and also up at the back here where the differential is, there's a little bit of crud, like actual solid chunks of stuff I gotta get out. So we'll pop this thing off. So I do have a little trouble getting by this PTO shaft here. This isn't something I should be doing by myself. Okay, and you can see this is where the pressure comes in right here, the little tube. So I was getting good pressure out of there. When I crank it over, you can hold your finger over it and blow your finger off, and it was sealing the whole way around. The issue I have is it's not sending enough pressure up here to be able to lift that. I don't know if you can see back here all this crud. That's not helping any. Most of it's actually solid chunks like previous gaskets or something. We'll get this all cleaned up. We'll try to wipe out as much of that sludge too that's left after we drop the pump. So I've got the other inspection port off here, and the PTO shaft is out. This guy must have been absolutely terrified of gaskets. When I first bought this tractor and I was digging in the carburetor, there was no gasket. It was just silicone gasket maker. And that's what I found on the PTO here. Both inspection ports And I'm assuming the bottom of the pump is going to be like that too. But this is what I was talking about, all the junk in here. We're going to take that out and then make sure there's nothing going through the hole there in the diff. Right now my biggest concern is getting all that sludge out of there. That's going to be not so fun. But we're getting there. It looks like to me the I don't know if you can see it, that relief valve looks very much newer than the rest of the pump. So I'm assuming that the guy that went in here before me tried doing a relief valve. It was not the relief valve, so he just left it, and that's why it was in the woods. That being said, I definitely am assuming I'm gonna have a problem getting this pump out of here. I'm sure he put silicone on the bottom. This whole thing has been silicone so far. All right, so I was under the impression that, can't really see it in there now. Come on, there you go. So I was under the impression that this is part of the hydraulic pump, like it's cast into it. Apparently it's not, and it just fits in notches on the pump. So what I'm gonna do is, I've got a couple of bolts in here, just holding this thing in. I'm gonna separate the bottom cover there. I'm either gonna get a pry bar and pry it loose, or I'm gonna have to pound it like the PTO cover, and it'll just sit down on the slack on those bolts, and then hopefully I can wrangle this thing out of here. So this is what I did here. I left bolt in this front corner here, and then that one in the back, and I got lucky this time. It doesn't seem like he used as much silicone. You can still see some of the stuff in there, but I went from the top and pounded the big pry bar here down into the bottom, and it only took a couple of hits. I was real happy about that. So I'm gonna let this drain a little more of this stuff out. Then once I have the pump out, I'm gonna drain the other plug here in front, and then the rear end one I didn't touch either, but most of the stuff drained out of this one. All right, we're ready to pull this pump apart. Should be pretty easy here. That's the pressure release valve. That's the control valve. There should be something else in here. Check valve. I'm not sure how to get that out though. So this is the rear of the tractor here. So these are going to have to be pounded off, I can already tell. Might be better to do that now. So you kind of have
lever against.
I don't know, maybe it won't.
That one. This one. It's left, right. Pistons.
All right, what I had to do was heat this up and press it out. It would not budge with just heat. You can see there's a bunch of scoring on the inside of this. I can't really feel anything noticeable on the cam itself, just running a nail over it. Maybe a little tiny bit right there, but it shouldn't be an issue for the new cam blocks going on. So we're gonna give it a whirl how it is, see what happens. So I've got the top lid gasket surface cleaned up as best as I can get it. I've got to do the 2 inspection ports. Those are just silicone, as well as the pump housing. Silicone only. So I'm gonna try and get these done. I'm not gonna film them, but I'm gonna try and get them done as easily as possible. I don't know that I want to try dissolving them. That might end up making more of a mess, but we'll see how it goes. All right, I got the new bearing in there. PTO shaft is seated in the housing. I'm gonna put a whole bunch of lube on the inside of there before I start spinning this thing around. And then this is ready to go back inside into the hydraulic pump, and we can get that torqued up. We're supposed to have the engine turn this pump over a couple of times just to help seat it, so we'll do that. Alright, PTO shaft is in. Basically what you got to do is get it in as far as you can, and then should be able to get it through the bushing in the back of the pump. And then in the middle there where it goes through the cam blocks, you'll have a little bit of a trouble. So get it as far in as you can. Crank the engine over with a key off. It'll rotate the pump around, and you'll be able to seat it further. And then just line up your gasket before you push that plate all the way in. Otherwise you gotta fight pulling the shaft back out to align that plate. So now I'm gonna put the top lid back on, and down in there you can see that little ball, and the one there, that is for the 2 arms on the top cover. It's definitely going to be easier to do this with no oil in it. So we'll get that top lid on, both of the side covers, and then make sure all 3 plugs are in the bottom of this. We'll be able to fill this thing with oil. Alright, top lid's on. I was having an absolute hell of a time getting those arms on. Should be able to see there. There's the arm. Goes down on either side of the valve. I just could not get these things to spread out far enough to get on that valve. Finally got it. So we got to put the 2 side covers back on, the quadrant back on, and hook up all of the 3-point appendages here. Alright, side covers are back on, aside from the 1 bottom bolt. It's going to be my fill level. I'm going to reconnect this, but first, this is the one that goes through the top here. As you can see, it's pretty well rusted. We're going to hit it with the wire wheel, clean that up, and give it some oil before we reassemble all this stuff. And then I'm going to change out the incorrect fitting on the oil pressure gauge so that I can actually run the engine without running it out of oil. This was pissing severely last time, so we're going to replace that, fill this up with oil, and then we're going to run it, see if it lifts. I do think this brush hog might be a little much for this tractor. If that's the case, then I'll just have to change it out for a different one, but I think it should be able to lift it. Alright, what I want to do, I'm going to get this top link out of the way, and we're going to see if this will lift just with the lower lift arms, and then I know it's a leverage issue. I think I got too much weight too far back. As you can see, the gearbox is a little more than halfway back. So we're going to try and see if we can at least pick up the front half. But right now I got it to pick up a bit. Sure, if I give it more gas it'll go more. I don't want to do that right now. I got to get the overrun clutch on here. and I'm gonna grease up this shaft, check this thing for oil. I just wanted to move this out of the way before I start doing anything. So we're gonna pop this over in the driveway a little further, and I'm gonna use the boom pole to mess around with today.